We often walk through our everyday lives with this profound sense of certainty. We pull up our satellite maps, we read our history textbooks, we scroll through endless global databases, and we're totally convinced that human history is this neatly solved puzzle. But the truth? The truth is actually far more fascinating. Human history is absolutely not a closed book. It's this incredibly dynamic, ongoing puzzle full of hidden secrets, secrets that are actively being concealed by the very planet we live on. So today in this explainer, we're going to crack open the vaults of the unknown and dive straight into the lost secrets of history.
Seriously, consider this for a second. What actually happens to history when the Earth just flat out refuses to give up its secrets? It's a pretty chilling thought, isn't it? We walk around with this cozy illusion that modern humanity has everything mapped out, perfectly cataloged, perfectly understood. But as you're about to see, nature, time, and even human psychology are terrifyingly effective at swallowing entire civilizations, bizarre physical phenomena, and even massive modern machines, all without leaving a single trace behind.
All right, here's our roadmap for today. First up, we're looking at lost cities and worlds. Then we'll explore nature's unsolved puzzles. After that, we'll look into things that vanished in the skies. And we'll wrap things up with Vaults of the Macabre. Let's get right into it.
Starting off with Section 1, Lost Cities and Worlds.
390 billion. That's not just a big number. That is the estimated number of trees in the Amazon rainforest. We're talking about a canopy that spans over 5.5 million square kilometers. It's so massive and so densely packed that recently, when scientists finally sent drones above the tree line, they found something completely mind-blowing: entire lost cities. I mean, they literally found massive stone structures and complex geometrical patterns from ancient civilizations that thrived way before our modern era. And honestly, the wildest part? Even today, hidden right beneath those 390 billion trees, there are uncontacted Stone Age tribes living exactly as they did thousands of years ago. They're out there using stone-tipped spears, completely and utterly isolated from our entire digital world.
Now, we all know the surface Amazon River, right? It's roaring, it's highly visible, it's life-giving. But parallel to it, about 4 kilometers underground, scientists discovered the Hamza River. And this thing is a gigantic, completely silent, invisible ocean moving slowly beneath the Earth. It reaches up to 400 kilometers in width. It's so incredibly mysterious that local legends don't even call it a river of water. They call it a shadowy river of souls. The belief is that those who vanish up in the jungle actually have their spirits swept away down into this dark, underground abyss. Of course, it's not just jungles hiding things. Water acts as the ultimate vault, too. Let's shift over from the Amazon to China. This is Xisheng, famously known as the Lion City. Built during the Eastern Han Dynasty over 1,300 years ago, it used to be this bustling trade center. But back in the 1970s, it was actually intentionally flooded to create a hydroelectric dam. Today, it rests a staggering 1,000 feet underwater. And what really baffles scientists is that despite being submerged for literally decades, the intricate stone carvings, its 5 city gates, all 265 archways, they are perfectly preserved. No corrosion whatsoever. It just rests there in this eerie underwater silence. It is quite literally a time capsule swallowed whole by human engineering. Moving right along to Section 2, Nature's Unsolved Puzzles. Our planet is just full of bizarre geographical anomalies that we cannot fully explain. Take the Devil's Kettle in the USA. A river splits, and half of it falls straight into a hole and simply vanishes. Scientists have thrown in everything from dye to GPS trackers, and they just disappear completely. The destination? Still entirely unknown. Or look at Antarctica, at Blood Falls, where red, iron-rich water literally bleeds out from the ice. Is driven by this dark, oxygenless subglacial lake that harbors an ecosystem of ancient microbes completely isolated from millions of years. And down in Peru, you have the Gate of the Gods. It's this perfect rectangular stone doorway carved right into a mountain, but it leads to solid rock. Yet if you ask the locals, they'll absolutely insist it's an interdimensional portal, where ancient priests vanished into a blinding light. Then we have the Batagaika crater over in Siberia, which locals chillingly refer to as the door to hell. And look, this isn't just some small pit. We're talking about a massive, 1 kilometer long sinkhole that is literally growing up to 20 meters every single year. It was actually triggered by us. Massive deforestation in the 1960s caused the permafrost to melt, and the Earth just slumped wide open. Now, it is actively unearthing million-year-old secrets, like perfectly preserved woolly mammoth bones and ancient plants. The locals, they are absolutely terrified of it. They claim they can hear these horrifying groans and shifting sounds constantly echoing up from the deep Earth. Let's jump back to the Amazon for a quick second to look at the Cuvier Abyss, also known as the jungle's black hole.
This is a deep, incredibly dark sinkhole that basically acts like a terrestrial Bermuda Triangle. Explorers who have actually dared to approach it report this total sensory horror. Compasses spin wildly out of control, electronic devices just instantly die, and even the surrounding flora and fauna become unnervingly aggressive. But the most terrifying part? People have recorded these low-frequency, unearthly vibrations coming from the abyss. It literally sounds like a giant piece of machinery is operating deep, deep within the Earth.
All right, heading into Section 3, Vanished in the Skies. Think about how wild it is that a marvel of modern engineering can become a ghost ship in a matter of minutes. Let's trace the tragic timeline of Helios Flight 522 back in 2005. It all started with just a single, small oversight. An engineer failed to reset a pressurization switch from manual to auto. That's it. As the plane climbed past 12,000 feet, the cabin pressure dropped. These really confusing warning sirens started blaring in the cockpit, but the pilots actually mistook them for an air conditioning fault. By the time they hit 34,000 feet, the lack of oxygen caused all 121 people on board, passengers and crew, to lose consciousness. The plane literally flew silently on autopilot for hours until the fuel finally ran out, crashing into a hillside. It is such a chilling reminder of how a tiny human error can doom a highly sophisticated machine. And then you have the cases that just completely defy all logical explanation. Back in 1978, a 20-year-old pilot named Frederick Valentich transmitted this truly chilling message over Australia. He reported to air traffic control that an unknown object with a greenish light was orbiting his plane. His final words on the radio were, "It is hovering and it's not an aircraft." Immediately following that transmission was a 17-second continuous metallic scraping sound, and then just dead silence. Valentich and his plane permanently disappeared. No debris, no fuel trail, nothing was ever found.
Perhaps the absolute greatest modern aviation mystery is the enigma of Malaysia Airlines flight MH370. Just think about this for a second. Despite global GPS, constant radar tracking, and satellite imaging, a massive Boeing 777 carrying 239 people simply vanished. The facts outline a chillingly deliberate event. The transponder purposefully shut off. The plane deviated from its route to Beijing, intentionally zigzagging to avoid radar before turning directly south. It continued to send faint, automated satellite handshakes for 6 whole hours until it just vanished into the massive, remote southern Indian Ocean. The silence it left behind remains completely unbroken today.
Finally, wrapping up our skies section, we have to talk about the haunting case of Egypt Air Flight 990 in 1999. The very last words heard on the black box, spoken repeatedly by the first officer, were in Arabic, translating to, "I rely on God." Seconds later, the Boeing 767 went into a deliberate, violent nosedive, dropping all the way from 33,000 feet into the Atlantic Ocean, tragically killing all 217 people on board. No mechanical failure was ever found. American investigators ultimately labeled it an intentional act, while Egyptian officials argued it was a mechanical fault. To this day, it remains a deeply unsettling psychological puzzle, hidden beneath the waves of the Atlantic.
Which brings us to our final section, Vaults of the Macabre.
6 million. Just let that scale sink in for a second. That is the sheer number of human skeletons meticulously arranged in the restricted underground labyrinth of the Paris catacombs. Back in the late 1700s, overflowing, disease-ridden graveyards forced Parisian authorities to move millions of bodies deep underground into these ancient mining tunnels. Today, visitors can only see a tiny, tiny fraction of this 320-kilometer network. You walk through these cold, narrow tunnels, and they're flanked by walls made entirely of real human skulls and bones, all perfectly stacked in these symmetrical patterns. It is incredibly surreal.
So, moving from massive scale down to intimate cruelty, we have the Torture Museum in Amsterdam. This place showcases original medieval devices that were explicitly designed to inflict unimaginable pain. We're talking about items like the Strapado, which violently dislocated victims' shoulders, or the Inquisition chair, which is literally covered in hundreds of sharp spikes. They even have skull crushers that operated like terrifying early hydraulic presses. But you know what's truly notable about this museum? It isn't just the iron machines themselves, it's the chilling silence of the visitors. People do not exit this building laughing or joking. They leave in complete, stunned silence, confronted by the terrifying reality of human brutality.
Jumping across the ocean to the U.S., the Mutter Museum locks away the terrifying biological realities of the human body that everyday society almost never gets to see. The exhibits here are disturbingly fascinating. For example, they house a massive 40-kilogram human megacolon from a patient who suffered from severe disease. They actually display the microscopic slides of Albert Einstein's true brain, which kind of proves that even pure, unparalleled genius is ultimately just a biological machine. And they even feature the Soap Lady, a woman whose remains naturally converted into a waxy substance called adipocere, literally freezing her form in time.
To cap things off, let's look at how museums try to make sense of the unknown by blending myth and reality. The Kurukshetra Panorama and Science Center over in Haryana, India, is truly one of a kind. It brilliantly bridges the ancient secrets of the Great Mahabharata War, displaying these epic battles in a totally immersive 360-degree 3D panorama, right alongside the highly rational explanations of modern cosmology and physics. It just perfectly captures our human desire, doesn't it? We are constantly trying to use the lens of modern science to somehow decode the colossal mysterious legends of our past.
So we've seen uncontacted tribes living beneath billion-tree canopies, silent underground rivers of souls, bleeding ice, jumbo jets that vanish into thin air, and massive underground vaults of bone. The illusion that we know absolutely everything about our world is, at the end of the day, just that, an illusion. So considering the Earth is actively hiding so much from us right beneath our feet and right above our heads, would you dare to go out and uncover these lost secrets of history yourself?